The strangest snakes in the world. In the world, there's more than 3,460 species of snakes, and a lot of them are poisonous. Besides the terror they might cause, there are certain species with original characteristics that make them worth admiring if we forget about how dangerous they are. Are you ready to meet them? Saharan horned viper. This serpent has a pair of horns, one on each eye, giving it a malevolent and even diabolical aspect. These two are formed by a single hardened scale. It lives in the deserts of North Africa and in the Middle East, especially in the rocky hills, sand deserts, and streams of seasonal rivers. It measures between 12 and 24 inches, although in extreme cases, snakes up to 33 inches have been reported. Even though it lives in the desert, this snake prefers temperatures of around 68 degrees Fahrenheit or less. The weather should be hot enough for the snake to take heat and cold to accumulate liquid, since it's the only way it can accumulate water. The Saharan horned viper meanders over the surface of the ground. One advantage of this snake is that only two parts of its body touch the hot sand. When hunting, it hides in the sand, where it camouflages very well. There, it waits for its prey to approach and then attacks at the right moment. Malagasy leaf-nosed snake. This snake is serious when it comes to mimicking the environment. Like the military, who have leaves on their helmets when they go into the field, the Malagasy leaf-nosed snake also camouflages itself among the vegetation with an elongated appendage on the upper leaf-shaped jaw. This species is a clear example of sexual dimorphism since males are way different than females. The males have a brown back or dorsal and are a yellow belly, while the females have an opaque brown color, similar to dry branches. Leaf-nosed snakes can reach up to 3.2 feet in length and, as the name implies, live in the forests of northwest Madagascar. It usually lays on branches up to 6.5 feet above the ground while they wait for their favorite prey such as lizards, geckos, and frogs. Although it's a poisonous snake, its bite isn't mortal for the human being, but it hurts a lot. Long-nosed whip snake. The most interesting thing about this snake is that it has an elongated snout and an intense green collation, characteristics that help it in blending into the vegetation. It lives in South Asian jungles in countries such as India, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, and Cambodia. With a body that can reach up to 5 feet long, it never goes unnoticed. The Sinhala language speakers call it ahetula, which means plucking eyes, since it's said that this snake likes to throw strong glances at bigger victims to then bite their eyes. Its favorite food are frogs and lizards, which it hunts using its binocular vision. Tentacled snake. This South Asian snake looks like a gigantic snail without a shell. It has two tentacles in the upper part of its jaw that help it when it comes to eating. It measures between 20 and 35 inches and lives in aquatic environments such as rice paddies, seawater, or turbid waters. The way it hunts is quite interesting. It submerges and forms a J with its body, waiting for the fish to get close. When this happens, it makes a movement with the tail that frightens the fish and causes them to flee in a direction close to their snout. In those crucial seconds, the snake stretches its head to the exact place where the prey is, directed by its tentacles that detect the movement of the water and helps even if the attack is made in the dark of night. Scientists consider it surprising that, when this happens, this snake can predict the movement of the fish, determining in advance its exit route and speed, since its attack doesn't go to the place where the fish is, but to where it will arrive. Elephant trunk snake. This strange, non-poisonous snake attracts everyone's attention because it has an extremely wrinkled skin that looks like an elephant. It lives in Southeast Asia, especially in freshwater such as rivers, estuaries, and lakes, although sometimes it does go into the sea. Their main prey are fish and amphibians, which they wrap with their bodies before eating them. This explains the texture of their body, which is wrinkled to prevent slippery animals from escaping. Its skin is so loose that after eating, it still looks the same, unlike other snakes. The females are the longest ones and measure up to 8 feet in length. They spend most of their lives in the water. They can spend 40 minutes underwater. In general, the ones on the ground are usually young. They have spots on the body that disappear with age, and the skin that covers them isn't completely loose yet. The older ones, however, remain in the water because their skin is an impediment to travel on land. The elephant trunk snake isn't poisonous, but in each bite, its teeth tend to detach and remain pierced in the flesh, so if it attacks a human, it will cause ugly wounds. Long-nosed viper. This snake is really interesting because in its snout is a series of tentacles that form a soft and flexible appendix that can measure up to 0.20 inches. Depending on the subspecies, these horns can have a vertical or diagonal form. In its totality, this sand viper can reach up to 37.5 inches in length. The females are the ones with the longest length. It lives in rocky environments, especially in Balkans and Turkey. It can also be found in farms and vineyards. It feeds on small reptiles, especially lizards, but it also eats other snakes and even members of the same species. It's the most dangerous snake in Europe, and its bite causes pain, swelling, and hemorrhages. Tiger keelback snake. It is characterized by having a green and black body with black and orange spots on its back, similar to the skin of a tiger. Its average length is usually between 24 and 39 inches. If you want to see this peculiar snake in its natural habitat, you'll have to travel to China, Taiwan, Japan, or the two Koreas. It is poisonous. Its glands absorb and store the toxic substances off the toads it hunts. However, few deaths from poisoning have been recorded because it isn't common for it to attack big animals such as humans. One of the reasons for its peaceful behavior is that its fangs are located in the back of the mouth and not on the outside like many dangerous snakes, so making quick attacks must be difficult. Dragon snake. This snake is similar to a crocodile because it has a dark coloration and hard scales that stand out in the dorsal area of its body, which is why it received the name of dragon snake. It lives in the humid tropical forests of Sumatra, Borneo, Java Islands, and in the southern part of the Malay Peninsula between 4,265 feet of altitude. Another place where it can be easily seen is in rice fields. However, despite the fact that it might be around humans, it isn't dangerous because it isn't poisonous. It mainly eats frogs and fish. It doesn't have a great size, barely reaching 2.5 feet in length, and if a human touches it, it becomes rigid, pretending to be dead. Rhinoceros viper. This viper has a frontal horn formed by 2 or 3 large scales, which is accompanied by other small horns as if it was a rhino. They can measure between 28 and 42 inches. It lives in the forests of eastern and central Africa near streams and swamps. It stays mostly on the ground, although it can climb up to 9.8 feet of altitude. It passes the time in the leaves of the trees, tree hollows, and extended roots. Also, they are great and dangerous swimmers because they usually attack without warning. They use their skin as camouflage and, sometimes, use their tail to hang from the tall branches, as if they were monkeys. Imagine that you are walking through the woods and one of these precious things is hanging over you. Their fangs are retractable. They can show up or hide when the viper wants them to. They inoculate a powerful poison that destroys the tissues and blood vessels, causing hemorrhages. Blunthead tree snake. This snake is famous for its slender body and wide head. In addition, it has huge eyes, giving the impression that someone is crushing them and trying to get them out of their sockets. These eyes cover up to 26% of the head's surface and explains why it has an excellent vision, unlike the rest of the snakes, which prefer to be guided by smell and vibrations. Also, it's a snake with nocturnal habits. It measures on average 31 inches, and in the best case, it can reach 4'11", a little less than the height of the average human being. It lives in the humid forests of Mexico, Central America, South America, and Trinidad and Tobago. You can find them resting by morning in places with shadows like coffee plants, leaves, or the bases of trees. It feeds on lizards, toads, and eggs of other reptiles. They are slightly poisonous, but they aren't a danger for the human being, so you can admire them without risking your life. These were the strangest snakes in the world. If you want to watch the next part, give us a like, subscribe, and activate the notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. See ya!